installment of Chuck's captivating chat. Glad to have you here, and I'm glad to be here. This is just a lot of fun for me. I thought, well, how am I going to open the show today? Because I was determined to not address the weather in Los Angeles. I've done that a little too much, but people ask me about it because I have people from all over the country. But I thought just the same, I'm not bringing it up. Well, we're getting rain again. And that may not seem like a big deal to most of you, but out here in LA, it is. People freak out in the rain. They're afraid to drive in it. They're afraid to go walking in it because they might melt like the Wicked Witch or something. I have to admit, even for myself, I'm a native East Coast guy. I spent the first 25 years of my life driving in rain like regular people on the East Coast. But being out here, where you sometimes can go 9 or 10 months at a time without any rain, you lose your skills. The skills just go out the window, especially because the roads get so covered in oil from cars. The freeways, the side streets, there's oil, so they get super super slippery during the rain. I have a little Miata sports car, which is lightweight enough as it is, and sometimes I underestimate the amount of time I need to hit my brakes or something, and I've been known to have a few spins and near misses. But as you can see, I'm still here and I'm still intact and I've survived. Um, I hope you saw last week's show. It's a good one. Long show. Always try to keep this roughly around 30 minutes or so. Well, all that went out the window, much like driving skills in the rain when I had my dear, dear friend Anastasia Pavlov as my guest. If you saw her recent interview that she did on my good friend Pam's show on Pomona Remembers, you will see a very serious, intellectual, highly intelligent, well read woman. Put her with me, we become like two 5-year-olds cut loose. And all hell breaks loose, and it's just a free for all. We started ad-libbing, and oh dear God, she fed off me, I fed off of her. I watched the playback with her, and we sat here afterwards. After the show was done, we went out to get some food and some snacks from the grocery store. Came back, and we were going to watch. I think we were going to watch Oppenheimer on the Peacock Network, and she said, "No, no, let's watch us. Let's watch our show." So we had almost an hour and a half to watch, and we were both like, "Oh my God, did I say that? Did I say that? Did I say that? Did we say that?" But it's all good because Anastasia and I for years have talked about doing something like this. It's at least something loose, occasional, a podcast, or maybe do this once a month or something, but we've never actually committed to going on the air live and letting it all happen in the moment, as you will see if you ever watch that replay. It was quite something. I was just thinking today, all the wonderful friends I have in my life right now, and some have come to me in virtual form, such as Pam from Pomona Remembers, Joyce Petrus from her wonderful channel, Mystic Soul Insights, Debbie Brady, her manager. All of these women have become very good friends to me. And yet they're spread all over the country. Pam is way up north in Canada. Debbie is back east. Joyce, Iowa. I'm here in Los Angeles. And I'm old school, which means I'm old. I'm old. Before all of this technology existed, when you just met people the old-fashioned way. So it's still getting something I'm getting used to. Having these Zoom conferences, restream, where you just have video images. But it's amazing to me. Oh, hi Joyce. Hi Pam. Hi Francine. Thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate it. So I'm surprised how quickly I acclimated to this, to just having little windows, little video screens, and you truly feel like you're in the same room with the person. And in cases of highly intuitive people like Joyce, Debbie, and Pam, I count myself in there. We always feel each other's energy So that's a great thing. So anyway, I always promise to talk about industry news, old Hollywood, throw in some Lucy. So, did you guys watch the SAG Awards on Netflix the other night? Now, you know how they open the show. Usually it's something about how they started. They have different celebrities talk about how they started out as actors, how they became actors, or how they got their SAG card. Well, that kind of illustrious fame has thus far eluded me. So far, I have not been nominated for my Oscar or my SAG Award or my Golden Globe or shit. So I don't plan on attending any of these shows anytime soon or being one of those actors to talk about how I got my SAG card. So I thought I would tell you. I made a video about this, but it is kind of funny just the same. Yeah, I'm sure the system still works this way. It's been a number of years since I did this, but it used to be you had to earn 3 union vouchers. SAG after union vouchers, and yeah, it was a catch 22 because you couldn't work on a production unless you had your union membership. You had your card. So you more often than not, it has meant having people who can pull strings for you, or you get Taft-Hartley'd out of need, and you just appear as a regular extra or something, and they pull you out of the crowd and use you for something. I've had a little bit of both. My wonderful acting teacher years ago pulled some strings so I could get my first voucher. It was for an HBO pilot that was being shot, and that pilot never saw the light of day, but I got my first voucher, and it was a week-long gig. They needed us to appear in because it was an office setting. They wanted to have us around for all of the days, so we could be moving about and doing our stuff to create an illusion of reality. And because of my very pale skin and my height, my hair was darker, but my height and my pale skin, they needed an emergency replacement for Ed Begley Jr.'s stand-in. And, because my coloring and height, it made me perfect for the lighting and adjusting the camera angles and so forth. So I got that. That got me my second voucher. I said, well, this is a piece of cake. This is easy. And then it took me almost 6 years to get that third voucher. And again, what's this? Oh, yes. Hi, Whimsy. Thank you for joining. And yes, I do realize I have more work and I'm more stable than most film actors. And that's because of you, Whimsy. Thank you so much. I do her show Taco Tuesdays as her sidekick and cohort. I'm basically Ed McMahon to her Johnny Carson, and I love it because I love Whimsy. But anyway, to get this third voucher, again, my acting teacher pulled some strings, had some connections, and got me on the show Prison Break, which used to be, I think, on the Fox network. Oh boy, what I went through to get that third voucher. We had to report to the location. First thing we had to do, we had to turn in all of our clothes, everything, shoes, socks, clothing, everything. Underwear is about the only thing we got to keep. We had to turn in everything, our watches, clothes, and then we had to exchange it for orange prison jumpsuits and orange prison slippers, complete with a little, one of those little plastic and paper bracelets with a barcode on it where they process you. It was a little too real for me. The first thing we had to film, we were all shackled and chained together in our prison garbs and loaded on a bus. And then we had to do several takes of this, getting on the bus taking off, pulling back in. We had to get off the bus, and then they had to film a scene of us with our bracelets being scanned, and we were being processed and taken into the jail. Well, we get inside, and this was a location somewhere in downtown Los Angeles. It's an old, I don't know if I guess abandoned jail. It's not in use anymore. I don't know what the correct terminology is, and I forget where it's located. Some of you might know, but it was creepy because it was a real jail, real. And I mean, we're not talking like clean, sanitized Hollywood jail. I mean, grungy, dirty, scary, dark jail, and we had to be locked in our cells. My hands on the bars in my orange suit. And it was a little too much method acting for me. This was just too real. And then the kicker. We had a choreographed fight scene. Yes, a big prison outbreak fight scene. And it was supposed to be choreographed, rehearsed, the motions and everything. So supposedly no one would get hurt. Supposedly. Well, the scene partner I had was a little too enthusiastic, a little overly zealous, because when the director called for action, I got slugged, slugged for real in the jaw. I mean, like seeing stars, almost blacked out, fell to the hard concrete floor. And then another person accidentally got hit. He lost a tooth, lost a front tooth. And the sad thing for him was that he had a commercial booked for the next day. I really felt sorry for him. For me, I was okay. I picked myself and got up, but like that, and I earned my SAG card. I got my third voucher, but I literally had to take a punch in the jaw to get it. So that would have been my story had I been one of those movie stars on the SAG Awards. Like, this is how I got my SAG card. So anyway, I don't know what you guys thought of the SAG Awards. I was kind of shocked this year. Again, I guess I'm showing my age. This is generational, but I've been watching award shows since I was a kid, since I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. And I remember when there was more class, more decorum, more dignity. Yes, I know I'm talking about a Hollywood award show, but there was. Because the SAG Awards were being covered on Netflix this year instead of the networks or the cable channels. Clearly, beforehand, the people in the audience were told you are free to say anything you want. None of this 7-second delay, none of this being bleeped. You can say anything. Well, I felt like I was watching um, a bunch of people with a toy, a new toy. Oh boy, I get to say the F word. I get to say shit. I get to say fuck. It was like that. And it was like 20 minutes in the show, and I heard one of the winners say fuck. And that was kind of my reaction. Fuck. Did I hear what I thought she said? And then there was another person who said it. And then another, by the 35-minute point, I thought, oh, this is a different kind of award show this year. And I mean, I certainly have no problem with the word. As you can obviously hear, I just said the word. I use it a lot in my private life, admittedly, but I also like to think that I have, a a sense of dignity about it. I certainly know when it's less than appropriate to use, and it can be offensive. I mentioned in my video I did on this that I try to be mindful of the audience I have here. I know there are a lot of you who are not bothered by it, but there are some of you who are. So I try to not overuse language like that unless I feel it pertains specifically to the story, such as what I'm telling right now. But I don't know, it just felt low class. And there was another moment when I, actor Pedro Pascal won. And by his own admission, he was drunk off his ass. He didn't think he was going to win. So he was just sitting there drinking, and his name was called. And he also said, well, what a fucking honor this is. And I'm drunk as hell and all that. And I thought, there was a time if a major star, any star, got up at a reward show like that and behaved that way, it actually could have ruined their career at one time. Now it's something like, ha ha ha, it's being celebrated. So that's just an example of times have changed. And I guess I just need to get used to it myself. Let's see, I'm just looking at some notes here. Well, yeah, Barbara Streisand. Barbara Streisand was the 2024 recipient of the Life Achievement Award. I love Barbara. I was thrilled. Barbara doesn't make many public appearances anymore. Even when she was promoting her autobiography, if you saw the interviews like Stephen Colbert, the one she did with Gayle King, Howard Stern, they were all conducted from her home. I Barbara is notorious for being a perfectionist. She wants control, and I guess in her home environment, she can do her lights the way she wants. She can supervise the camera angles, uh, digitally tweak it as she pleases, which she's known to do. I love her dearly, but she's an 81-year-old woman, and sometimes she digitizes her image to make herself look like she's about 28 or 29, and yet she talks about how she believes in the truth, always telling the truth. So to me, that's a little contradictory, but I love her dearly. So I'm not going to pick her apart. I just meant to show this earlier. This is, well, wish I could show this without glare on it. This is my autographed picture of Barbara Streisand. A very good friend of mine back in the 80s got it for me. And it was an event he went to, and he said she couldn't have been nicer. A friend of mine used to work at Barney's, very high end department store in Beverly Hills, and he waited on her. And I said, "Oh, was she a nightmare? Was she a bitch? Was she difficult like I've always heard?" He said, "No, no, she could not have been nicer. She was warm. She was kind. She was sweet. She was making jokes with the staff. He was wearing a vintage Rolex watch, and she even noticed it and go, 'Oh, it's vintage. I love vintage.'" She had her little dog with her, the little, I think it was the original Samantha, the little white dog Samantha, which she later had cloned. That's right. Barbara has 3 clone dogs, but this was the original Samantha, and he said the dog was barking in the store, and Barbara's going, "Shh, be quiet, be quiet." So anyway, Barbara was the recipient of the Life Achievement Award, and, and it was a beautiful response from the audience. If you saw that, a lot of people were crying. Barbara Streisand, in my opinion, is a star's star. I mean, she's had truly an unprecedented career. I can't think of anybody who can parallel her. I mean, just one aspect, her music career alone would have made her a superstar. Her voice is like the voice of the 20th century. Arguably, her and Judy Garland, the 2 greatest singers, that alone. But she went on to have her television specials. Her first movie, she wins a Best Actress Oscar. She went on to become the #1 female box office draw of the 1970s. And then she went into directing her own movies. She's incredible. So it was a deserved evening. But again, I love Barbara dearly. So I hope this is not taken as nitpicky criticism, because I've noticed on social media when anybody dares to make a comment about her age or what she's wearing or her hair, it's like you made the worst personal attack. I think we can love a person but still have some opinions. Um, that outfit she wore. Um, Here, I've got the picture here if I can pull it up. Um, I wish I could do this more smoothly. It never. Yeah, this outfit she wore, um, I found it a little bizarre. Barbara, going back to the beginning of her career, was always known to be kooky, eccentric in how she dressed. She was legendary for getting her things from thrift stores and having an eye for really unusual designs and unusual quality. And she said herself, "I love clothes that have a history." Well, she went and pulled from her own closet, her own clothes with her own history, because that dress was something she had worn back in 2013 in a concert. And that black velvet coat she wore in 1979 in the movie The Main Event. So, she's obviously practical. She's clearly frugal. Why not get another wearing out of these things? I can see the logic, but I was also thinking this is such a special evening. And you've got a woman who has access to the best designers and stylists in the world. I wanted to see her look spectacular that night. And I'm going to just say it. I thought she looked like a high end bag lady. She looked frumpy in that outfit. I thought, yeah, high-end bag lady. Only thing missing was a shopping bag from Tiffany's or Harry Winston. Yes, my inner Joan Rivers is coming out right now because every time I watch award shows, I think, God, I miss Joan Rivers on the red carpet making her scathing remarks that only she could get away with. But I kept thinking, I don't know if it was me thinking or if I was channeling Joan Rivers, but you probably know Barbara Streisand has her own shopping mall in her basement. Yeah. The Jewish princess fantasy. Michael Jackson built himself a theme park. She built herself a strip mall. And all I could hear was Joan Rivers saying, "Oh, she must have a Goodwill thrift store in her strip mall in the basement where she picks her clothes out of." Because that's kind of what it looked like. So, anyway, for fellow Streisand fans, please know I say this with love. It's good natured. I just would love to have seen our Barbara look a little better. But I'm happy she was honored. Now, one of the other things I want to say about the SAG Awards, and you could say this also about the Golden Globes. In my opinion, well, actually, I don't think it's just my opinion, but these two award shows have kind of ruined the Oscars in that they've ruined that wonderful sense of suspense we used to have before the Oscars. That it really was something where you didn't know what was going to happen when they opened that envelope. Now, for example, let's see, who were the winners? There was Lily Gladstone. She won the SAG Award, but she had won the Golden Globe. Cillian Murphy, he won the SAG and the Golden Globe. Robert Downey Jr. won the SAG and the Golden Globe. And Divine Joy Randolph won both awards. And what we're seeing, with maybe a few exceptions here and there, almost always when people sweep these awards, they go on and get the Oscars. So it's like we know who the Oscar winners are likely going to be now. I know there was one year there was a surprise. Everybody thought it was going to be Glenn Close and Olivia Colman won. So that's about all we can hope for is maybe there'll be a surprise upset now. But I think that's one of the reasons why the Oscars ratings have nosedived so much. It's just not the fun suspense it used to be. But that's what happened. Now, I mentioned in a video today that wish I could pull these pictures up easier. Boy, never goes the way it goes when you're on live. But I mentioned in a video that today was the birthday or the anniversary of the birth of character actress Mabel Albertson. Now, you may recognize her because she appeared on a lot of TV shows back in the 1960s, but she got typecast in a unique way. She is best known for playing Darren Stevens' mother on Bewitched. And her famous line, "Frank, take me home. I'm getting a sick headache." But with, when she was doing Bewitched, playing Darren's mother, she was also on That Girl playing Anne Marie's boyfriend, Don Hollinger's mother. And not too long after that, during the same time period, she was playing Howard Sprague's mother on the Andy Griffith Show. And I mean, I remember as a little kid, like, are Howard and Donald and Darren brothers? They all have the same mother. So it was I don't know, people didn't seem to mind, I guess, and certainly don't mind now, but it was a odd thing to cast her with all these concurring shows playing basically the same type of role. But she was the ultimate for that. And she was also good at being the pain in the ass mother-in-law, particularly to Samantha. And you may remember the episode where Serena turned her into a cat, which they called Mrs. Stevens. Anyway, I also wanted to mention that she was the sister of actor Jack Albertson. I don't know if you remember him or not, but there used to be a TV show in the 70s, very big, called Chico and the Man. Jack Albertson's, and Jack Albertson was an Oscar, Emmy, and Tony winner. And her daughter-in-law was Cloris Leachman, who also was an Oscar and Emmy winner. So it's quite some lineage to have in that family. And let's see, Debbie was saying, I saw a retrospective of Chris Christopherson. He hinted at a brief affair about them. They were doing A Star is Born. I have not heard that. And I've got to confess, I'm still way behind on Barbara Streisand's autobiography. I'm listening to the audiobook version of it, and I'm only up to like about 1970 now. So I haven't gotten to the Star is Born years. But I do know now, most actors are going to deny this, but I have heard, because I've talked to a lot of people over the years who've worked on film sets, and they say it happens quite commonly when actors are playing lovers that, shall we say, they get a little too method, and it can at times spill over into their private lives. So I don't know that it's not impossible, but I can't confirm that. Maybe someone out there knows more. I suppose Barbara would have mentioned something in her book, but I certainly haven't seen any alerts, like any bombshell revelations along those lines from her book. So I haven't heard that. Um, let's see, what else do I want to say today? Yes, in working in a Lucy story. Um, let's see here. I have two actually, because today is the birthday of William Frawley, our beloved William Frawley, our Fred Mertz. And I saw a really interesting thing on Facebook. He did an episode of This Is Your Life. That's that show where they would surprise people, catch them off guard, and say, so and so, this is your life. And they would have a book of their life. And then they would take them to a stage or something. And people from their life would surprise them. You would hear them over the microphone. And legend goes William Frawley despised his ex-wife, Edna Louise. They had been vaudevillian partners during the 19 teens and the 20s. Quite successful. It was an act consisting of comedy and song and dance, but it was a very ugly divorce, and supposedly she cleaned him out financially, and a very frugal Frawley never forgave her for that. And I'd always read that when she came on live TV to surprise him, he was not happy about it at all. But I saw the clip today, and the interesting thing was, yeah, here's a picture from it. They actually looked happy together, and Frawley could not have been more gracious. He even kissed her on the cheek and put his arm around her. Here's a picture of them back in their vaudeville days. I'm trying to hold this so I don't have the glare from the light, but yeah, they were a cute couple, and Frawley had hair back then. But it was intriguing to see that today, and I thought it would be just fun to mention Bill Frawley's birthday. We loved our Fred Mertz. Now, as far as a Lucy story goes, I have probably told aspects of this before, but I was reminded of something because I saw this very vintage piece of artwork here of Lucille Ball done around 1930 or 31, at least allegedly so. The one thing that makes me suspicious of it is her hair is red. Now, someone might have taken the original artwork and digitized it to make it more red, but at that time, Lucille Ball was bleaching her hair platinum blonde, and she was working as a dress model for a prestigious salon owned by designer Hattie Carnegie, where she posed for a piece of artwork, let's say at least very similar to this, for an artist. She was a struggling actress, just any way she could make some money. And that was the era, apparently, when there weren't any model releases to sign or anything, and the artist was free to do anything they wanted with that artwork as long as they paid the model. So Lucy forgot about ever doing this. And it was one day she was walking down Times Square, and she looks up and she sees a billboard with this artwork for Chesterfield cigarettes, a billboard. And she's like, "Well, son of a bitch, how'd that happen?" And it was not long after that, like a day or two later, she was walking the same area, and there was this casting director that Lucy had known in the past. They'd had some encounters, and the casting director, "Lucy, get over here right now, come here, it's urgent, we need you." And Lucy's like, "What?" And the casting director said, "Lucy, you're the Chesterfield girl, aren't you? You're the girl in the Chesterfield billboard." And Lucy said, "Well, yeah, that's me. Look, we're casting an Eddie Cantor movie musical in Hollywood right now. And for the chorus, we need 12 young women who've appeared on billboards and magazine ads. Now, one of the girls' mothers won't let her come to Hollywood. And it's an emergency. We got to have someone. Lucy, do you want to do this?" And Lucy said, "Oh, hell, I'm up for anything. Why not?" And Lucy said, "Good. Okay, go to this casting director's office. It's about 2 blocks from here." Lucy went there. They didn't even require her to make a screen test because of the urgency. They just signed her on the spot. 3 days later, Lucy was on a train for Hollywood and her great destiny. And I love this story because I'm a big believer in destiny, and what is meant for us is going to find us. And sometimes it takes some really bizarre routes, unexpected routes. Lucy posing for an artist long before forgetting about it, becomes a billboard. The billboard, in turn, gets her first job in Hollywood. And when Lucy came out here in 1933, she never went back. She fulfilled her destiny and also her destiny for the world, because the world was never the same. I'm even thinking about that artist. That schmuck, when he was there sketching her out or painting her, he probably had no idea he was doing something that was going to literally change the world, because it all goes back to that. And Lucy coming out to Hollywood, meeting Desi, years later, their television show, which is still playing 72 years later. Variety magazine named it the greatest television show of all time. It has played to over 3 billion people, a documented fact, 78 countries, and historians have even said Lucille Ball's face may be the most widely viewed in all of the history of humanity. So how's that for a story? I'm just looking to see if I have any little comments here, or not little comments, important comments here. Yeah, Joyce. That's Thank you for your comment about the dates. You said if you had the dates, I would love to do the charts. Joyce, that's a fantastic idea. Joyce is a gifted, and I mean gifted, astrologer, tarot reader. Um, Mystic Soul Insights is her channel. And I think this would be fantastic. Joyce, yes, I can gather whatever dates you want. We can talk about this, because when you look at how monumental all of this is, like the domino falling and then all the other dominoes fall, what it instigated. I would be very curious to see how this shows up in the charts. So we will do that. That's going to be a future show. I was also saying to Joyce, um, if anybody saw Anastasia and myself, you see that we have unbelievable chemistry. We finish each other's sentences. Many times our lives even directly parallel each other. And I even suggested that to Joyce, that since she's done both of our charts, to do like a joint relationship chart and just see how all of this ties together. So, Joyce, I'm going to give you some material here. Plus, you said you've done some more charts for me. Just think if there's anything else here before I go. Think I somehow covered everything I was planning. Someone here, I think before I was going to talk about Barbara, they said, "Now be kind." I think I was kind. I would never denigrate Barbara. I got to say also before I go, um, I estimate in 38 years, I have met at least 500 celebrities, many through my line of work, just encounters. You live in Los Angeles. You got to remember, there are thousands and thousands of celebrities here. You factor in the TV stars, the soap opera stars, the music stars, the writers, politicians, movie actors. It's hard not to run into celebrities. And I was thinking, I've met just about everyone I ever wanted to meet. Julie Andrews is one I'm still putting that wish out there for because as I Whimsy and I did a show a couple weeks ago, we were talking about childhood celebrity crushes. And I said, well, this is the truth. I was 5 years old. I was in love with Julie Andrews, Mary Poppins, and I want to meet her and I want to tell her that. But well, I wouldn't mind meeting Meryl Streep. I've met her daughter. I haven't met Meryl yet, so that's another. Lucy, um, well, that's another story. But I did get to see her in person. I got to watch her film an episode of a show once. But my bucket list wish is to meet Barbara Streisand, even if it's just for a minute or two. I know the woman does not like small talk. I don't know how fond she is of such encounters, though I've heard she's quite gracious when people do meet her. But I thought because she doesn't like small talk, I would even have a topic. I would like to talk to Barbara about her perfectionism because I deal with that. I deal with it a lot myself with my own artwork and my writing and things that matter to me. And I know sometimes I go overboard with it, and sometimes I've had to use that terminology, reform perfectionist, when I know it's damn well not true. It's just too much in me when I care too much. But I like to believe that perfectionism can also be used uh, to make us keep reaching for better. Because I always want to improve myself. I always want to be better. I'm never satisfied with my art because I always know deep inside I can do better. So that's where I think it serves me. But I'd love to talk to Barbara about her perfectionism. Um, she said something in an interview once. I think it was the last album she did. She was um, doing most of the mixing herself at home, sound mixing, but she was working with a sound engineer who was beside her. And she said, okay, I want to turn this down half a decibel on this one track. And there must have been like 30 tracks or something. She wanted to turn it down to this one track. And the sound engineer was saying, Barbara, nobody's going to hear that. And Barbara said, no, you won't hear it, but you'll feel it. You will energetically feel it. And when she said that, I said, that's a woman after my heart, because that's exactly the way I am when I am painting and drawing. Sometimes it's a little slash of color, a little line that nobody's going to notice. But I feel the energetic shift when I do that. So anyway, that's going to be my topic. Someone may steal it from me, but oh no, come on. We can all talk about our perfectionism with Barbara. May we all get to meet Barbara if that is our wish. And now I'm putting that out to the universe. That is my wish. I want to meet Barbara Streisand. And anyway, this has been a fabulous show. I have a lot of fun doing this. I thank all my friends for joining. It means so much to have you out there and to have your support. And I feel your love and I feel your energy. So I'm going to sign off for now, but remember to like and subscribe Chuck's Captivating Chronicles. And I wish Sasha were here. Many times when I'm on here, she's running across the couch and stuff. Sasha, of course, is my Siamese cat. She has her own channel now, Sasha's Siamese Secrets. Please like and subscribe. And I just want to thank you all so much for being here and giving me this privilege of being here. So I shall see you next Monday at the same time. Thank you. Goodbye.